welcome to Let's All Feel Better. I am Kalista Parrish, as always, your grounding force, your cynical sidekick, if you will, here with our guide to the universe, our channeler of the woo, the great Liz Kiefer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Kiefer. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so happy to be here with you, Kalista. I've missed you.
Right back at you. It's been a bit of a technological, what do you say, minefield lately.
This would be a square three couple of weeks where the hero's journey, the trial, trying, succeed, failing, trying again, it working, not working. Yeah, this square three.
Yeah, and with all sorts of things, fabulous things going on in our lives. So today we thought, Liz and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago and led to talk about caring for other people and how you can't really care for other people if you're not caring for yourself first. And I always think of it as what they tell you in the airplane, that, you know, when the mask comes down, put the mask over your head first and then over the child that's traveling with you, because if you pass out, you're not going to be any help to that child.
No help.
Exactly. So you need to be able to make sure that you are in a strong place before you can lend that strength to others or to help other people out. So that led us to, hey, we should talk about that.
It's important because there's a lot of people, and including, well, I mean, you know, a lot of caretaking type people, which you are and I am.
Guilty as charged.
Naturally, that's why we have magnetized towards each other. Hey, we both take care of other people so much. How about we try taking care of each other and ourselves? Yeah. But sometimes it's actually quite a very strategic distraction to take care of other people, because then you don't have to really look at what your own needs are.
Yep.
And then it brings up the questions of, you know, being enough, worthy of the attention, worthy of the time, you know, those things are pretty deep.
Yeah, well, it's that way, as you say, that it's easier sometimes to see what other people need, right? You say, oh, well, I can tell that you need to focus on this and you need to be focused on that, and as opposed to what is it that I need. So sometimes it is, as you say, a distraction from one's own.
It's a very strategic distraction. I think there's parts of us that choose to go do this because this is just easier. Yeah. But in reality,
you're to tell other people what to do than to do.
But then your tank gets, you know, I was talking about that as a gas tank. Like if you don't fill up your tank, you know, you can't. Your car's not going to move. You know, you're not going to be able to get to the people, and it's just so important. It's just the necessary step of, before you can go out into the world and do for others, you actually need to come into yourself first. And, you know, I do it every morning as a check-in. Like I just kind of check in and I try to access that self energy, that essential self energy, what is it that I need? What, you know, what's happening? Because I'm not very good I'm less than if I try to just bypass that and just start taking care of other people all day long. I get really resentful at the end of the day, and yes, it's not good. So I don't know. So what are good, how do you take care of yourself when you think you are going, like you've extended yourself too far? Like, what is it that you need to do for yourself? Because I think it's different for everybody.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I think it is. I think that for all of us, you know, stress and taking care of oneself during stressful times is a great challenge. I often talk about that same thing about, refilling the tank, of sometimes just taking an entire day just to tune out, just to not answer a text, not answer an email, not answer a phone call, not necessarily have to talk to anybody, and just
going offline.
Yeah, just focusing on the actual world that's right around me often helps me. The actual, as you say, my business, but really what's within my arm's reach kind of thing.
What's in your little boundary
Yeah,
circle?
yeah. No, and you still have to feed the dogs and yourself and stuff like that. But I think, I mean, it's interesting. I think that I am in need currently of a better ritual for self-care.
That's a good word. Ritual is, I think, very important to establish.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's been interesting since the pandemic has started, and we've been forced to stay in closer time. I guess we're stepping out a little bit right now, but I still have the rules. Like, no, I'm still not 100%. I only do things outside. I don't go inside anybody's house. I make sure, I joked the other day because I went to go visit Anna, our friend Anna, and see her new baby, her new girl, Sal. And I'm like, I joked, it's like, I might as well have had a colonoscopy this morning, because I stopped drinking fluids at midnight last night. So I could come here to you mid-morning and not have to go inside and use your bathroom. Yeah. Like that's like, whoa, I have to, because I have the bladder the size of a pea. I cannot believe I'm telling you this right now, but I'm telling you this. And if we've talked about this before, but this has been my biggest pandemic thing. Like, you can't use bathrooms anywhere.
Well, it's true. I had to drive into the city just to actually pick something up through my car window with my mask on and the gentleman's mask on. And my thing was, I was leaving in the morning. I went to go get my coffee, and I was like, oh, I will not be able to use a bathroom until I return home again, 4 hours, 5 hours later. And I was like, oh, snap. I probably should drink coffee this morning.
Oh, no coffee for you. Oh. Yeah, little tiny sips, maybe. Like, I get a sip and that's it. I was joking. The first thing she did was ask me if I wanted something to drink when I showed up. I said, no. I went home and I guzzled water.
I should add, they live about 15 minutes apart.
I know. This is me trying to control what's going on. But anyway, I find that kind of funny, but that's just an amusing story. But I've noticed that during pandemic, I am outside and I'm more in touch with nature, and that has been really helpful. And I've done it enough now. I think in the last 2 weeks, I've started this ritual where every day I'm going outside and I'm sitting for 10 minutes on this little bench, and I'm now just going outside and noticing what I'm noticing, and I'm keeping my vision just what's in nature in front of me. What am I listening to, and what am I seeing? And I'm trying to drop out of any other thoughts. I'm just giving myself 10 minutes, and now I have this relationship with a tree outside, which I love because it's so beautiful. And I've noticed all these things I never knew about because I sit beside it. And I'm now looking forward to it, because so the ritual starts to build up, and it starts to it's like a muscle, and so now I'm getting more out of it quicker, and it's just but ritual is extremely helpful.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. I mean, I think we talked about this on another one, how not doing a show this spring for the last several springs, that actually, and again, being home all the time, and that's all that you could do, that Michael and I tore out a bunch of things that we didn't want growing that were out of hand, and Karina and I planted a bunch of things, and my flowers have thrived, and it's been a nice daily ritual for me of watering them and being outside and checking in with my, and also having to weed them and getting your hands in the dirt. And it's one of the things during when I lost power for almost a week that was killing me because I couldn't water them because I didn't have water, and I couldn't weed because I couldn't get dirty because I didn't have water. So that was really that whole experience was a challenge in itself. But honestly, I feel like how much you can see something like that develop and grow is also part of a self-care thing for me. That, I'm not fantastic at setting goals and keeping them in mind without the goal changing or without, and I feel like planting things, it's a very simple goal that you have no control over after a certain point. It's like you put them in, you've given them the, the soil and the love and the food and the sunshine and all that they need. And then you have to kind of acquiesce to it. Go with the flow of it.
Go with the flow. Now, this is something interesting because I have been, the topic that's been in my head and I've been pondering and doing my walkabouts going, is hoping versus trusting. And I was looking at, I guess because I've been in touch with nature more, and I have been looking at the flowers that have been growing, and then there were certain grasses that didn't grow this year because I think we cut them back. I don't know, they didn't get enough water. I'm not sure why, but it was interesting. The hoping versus trusting. So here's how I put it together with the flowers. I'm hoping that they'll flower this year, but I'm trusting that the seed is in there and that they're still growing. And I realized, oh wait, where in my life have I been hoping for things instead of trusting? Because if you think about it, hoping is a good thing. We all want, hope is up there on the scale of, positivity and all that stuff. But it's an interesting thing. If you think about hope, it has a sense of something that's out there in the future, and maybe there's a chance that it doesn't happen. Like when you have hope for something, like, at least in my world, I hope for something and I'm not positive it's going to happen. I just want it to happen. And hopefully there will be all these external forces that will come in and make it happen. But I just have to sit here and hope. And it kind of puts me in a waiting game versus, because that's just a different resonance in my body. Hoping my business will take off, hoping I'll get a job, the next, acting gig, versus trusting, which is, oh, wait a second. I'm trusting in the process. I'm trusting, like as the flower, I'm trusting in the growth process. I'm hoping it will flower this year, but I'm trusting that seed is there and that it's still alive and, it's time. But trusting for my highest, best good, all this stuff, it gets very spiritual in nature, but it's such a shift of energy of like, now I'm realizing, like when the power went out, I was like, oh God, I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back. And when I had that story going on in my head, I still had a little bit of stress, a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety attached to it. Still I was positive. I know they'll come. I hope they come soon, versus trusting that, oh, everything is going to come back and I will be able to meet any of my needs with integrity. And, it's a trust. It's a trust that it's all going to fall into place in its own time. And I guess I can surrender the outcome. I can trust in something, surrender the outcome, but I'm able to take action. Like hope puts me in a waiting game. Trusting goes, I'm trusting that the process is happening. And so what can I do today? I'm going to go do, blah, blah, blah. It's an interesting one for me. I don't know if it's the same for everybody else. I just know for me, I have to now catch myself when I'm in that hoping, which is putting it off in the future, versus I'm trusting. And now what am I going to do about that? Do for today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, a little bit. I mean, I can't particularly relate with the power thing because you lost yours for an hour, but and I lost mine for a week, and it wasn't it that I feel like that wasn't for me a hope and trust issue. That was for me a just make, you know what I mean, to, and we did, and you know what I mean, and Corina and I drug out the generator and put it all together and gave ourselves, you know, a refrigerator and lights and a television and a DVD player, which was very important. And we still have 1,000 DVDs. But also a little bit. I would have to say, I think there's something about that, about the trust in it, the trust in myself, that I felt
That's
like
the most important thing.
Yeah,
You
that we
just
can do
nailed
this.
it. It's trust that you will show up with integrity and you will meet your own needs, as opposed to hoping somebody else will come and, you know, you do have to, somebody else does have to put that.
I do need to conquer
up there. But yeah, no, trust in yourself.
But I also think it's interesting in to a lot of what we've been talking about in terms of our children, my child going to college and during COVID. And I think that that's a big hope and trust one that I feel like I had to put my trust in the institution where she is attending, so that instead of hoping they do the best, you know, going to these meetings, hearing what they're saying, and really trusting that they want the best for them as much as we do.
Right, and I had to do the same with my son. But it actually, and it came down to do I trust my son to make decisions for himself, that are wise and intelligent, and, you know, do I trust that he will do his best to keep himself in an intelligent, safe, you know,
out of harm's way
kind of routine. And I really deep down in my body went, oh yeah, I trust my son. I really deep down. And that's how I could make that decision to go, okay, he can go. Let him go. I mean, it was his decision, but it was me, and as a mother could go, I'm trusting within that. But we took all sorts of steps to keep him.
Right, exactly. No, and that it's one of those things that you've talked about before, I feel, with like with the placemat example and stuff like that. You can't just say, these are my things that I wish were happening, and sit there and do nothing.
Oh no.
You know, so that you have to go, okay, I'm also going to put all the steps in place so that I can trust.
Well, yes, you hand over what you can't control, but you can control. See, I have to, in order to trust and to find my place where I can take a breath and I can trust the process, I have to hand over what I can't control, the outcome of, if I go in demanding that I know what the outcome is for my son, that's just going to put me in a terribly anxious place. I'm trusting that even if he has to turn around and come home, I'm trusting that everything's happening for his best, you know, highest, best good, that he's making wise decisions. Rice is making wise decisions. We're making wise decisions as a family, you know, and we can change those decisions too, you know, then we can turn around and go, okay, we needed to see what was going to work. And so I guess I'm trusting the process.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think it's interesting when you say that instead of having this kind of set idea of what anything is supposed to be, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the hope of it. Like, well, I hope it's this is how it's supposed to, and you know, and I feel like certainly in my family that I think my husband's come around somewhat to Karina being like, look, this is my experience, and that, you know, I know that I'm going to do my best to stay safe. I'm not going to go to parties. I'm not going to, which is not what we think of as your freshman year of college experience. But as she points out, it's her freshman year of college experience. Right. And we never saw 2020 coming, and so that's part of the thing. You have to go, oh, geez, yeah. Am I going to sit around and just weep and moan that my freshman year is not my freshman year, the way that we wanted to sit around and weep and moan that my senior year wasn't my senior year that I expected, the senior year that I expected? No, it's the senior year that I got. It's going to be the freshman year that I got. And that, as we say, put all the steps into place to do your best with it. But, there's, a lot of it is out of one's control.
Right. Well, trust that they'll find their nature. Their true nature will lead them. I'm just a big believer in accessing that sense of self and agency. I saw like the coolest picture of one of these girls. It should be their poster for Rice. She's a freshman and she had just taken her test. You can't even enter there's a big tent. You got to go. And it was negative, and she came walking out with the most amazing sense of pride, agency, moving forward. I mean, it was so powerful. I just like, she was superwoman, and she was gonna have this experience. As far as this was gonna take her, she was doing this, and I got it all. And I thought, that's just brilliant. These kids, I saw it from every one of them. They were so excited. I saw the whole, all the videos of showing up. This was not dampening their experience of being a freshman in college. They were having, tears came to my eyes watching these kids come out of the car. And because my son was one of the O Week advisors. So he's one of the guys that
orientation,
yeah, greeting you, and then, taking your bags and your, and bringing it up to your room. Anyway, I was just really impressed with the just the sense of, I keep going back to it, sense of self that I got from these kids. There was, nothing had been diminished when I saw.
I think when you say the difference between, hope versus trust, that I think that it feels to me that hope is passive, where trust is active.
Yes. Hope, that's why I say hope puts you into a waiting game for me. Yeah. You hope, you can sit there and hope forever and not take any action. Right. Versus I'm going to trust and I'm going to do. Yeah. It just shifts. I mean, for you just feel the shift of energy. Yeah. And yes, it is active. Very good. You are my writer. I'm able to put my finger on what you're feeling, and you're able to tell me
all those fabulous sign language interpreters that are in all those wonderful press conferences next to the governors and mayors of our cities and states. Just think of me as one of those. I'm just your Amazon translator from the woo into the everyday. But I think that's a positive way of approaching it. Mm-hmm. And like we say, there's certainly things that are outside of your control, but that taking an active stance in your own life is always creating a positive energy.
Yeah. And it also goes back to the story you're telling yourself. These kids aren't telling themselves the story of, oh my God, this is so not what it's supposed to be. They're all so excited that they moved heaven and earth to get there, against all odds. They're so.
And I think it's an important lesson that they've had to learn. Certainly, as again, the kids who are the class of 2020, either in high school or college, but that we're at a point where you can't just sit there and expect the grown-ups, the government, the rest of the world to take care of this for you. not going to happen. It's not happening.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I'm not sure I'm putting my trust in those people.
No.
There are some I don't put my trust in at all, but I do put my trust in myself.
Yeah. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And again, after you have your self-care rituals, I think you're in a better position to feel that way.
Right. And yeah, so it does go back to self-care, because that was a very important part of self-care that I didn't realize until recently, that's what I was doing when I was creating rituals that were getting myself aligned, and where I'm just being very mindful of my thoughts and my beliefs and where the fears are coming from and anxiety and all that kind of thing. It's trust was such an important element. But the self-care is so important, especially during these times where it's so easy to go get, I go in waves of getting depressed and kind of getting blue about all of this. And that's when the self-care goes out the window sometimes for me.
Yeah. Well, I think so many people, and then my Facebook feed Instagram feed is filled with people going, oh, geez, well, when we thought this was just going to last a couple months, we all went to, eating and drinking as forms of making ourselves feel better, and are not sustainable forms of how to feel better. I certainly did myself too. As I think have a tendency towards, which is when things are sad for me, that whatever makes me feel better works, and that's not always healthy. And that I think that healthy self-care also therefore does lead you to a more trusting position in yourself, that you can trust yourself, that you will take care of yourself instead of be detrimental to yourself.
No, well, that's self-care. Yeah. It's interesting how it all went in waves, because everybody had that. I don't know anybody who didn't gain at least 5 pounds. At the very minimum, at least 5 pounds.
You, but okay.
Well,
you did.
Oh, I did. But you know what? That's part of my self-care too. I am not beating myself up on, which is huge for me, because I've always had like a very strict, the voice in my head, for years on a soap opera, and I was not ever the skinny one there. I was like big compared to some of those girls, and that toning that down, turning that down and going, no, it's all right. You know what? You're fine. You can take that 7 pounds, and I've been eating healthier. I don't know. I think I'm more balanced, and that's part of self-care too. But managing
food has become a different ritual in your household too, with having your kids home and working together and all that. And you don't want to have those wonderful experiences hampered by something as silly as a couple pounds. You don't want to be, I'm sorry, I can't eat that wonderful thing that you've prepared for me because I think I've put on a couple. Well, that doesn't make the person who prepared it feel any better. That doesn't make you feel any better. Instead, go, all right, well, screw that, and I want to be here for this experience,
right? As
opposed to worrying about what it's going to, how it's going to affect my physical look. I feel like it's not that the kind of way you're talking about is certainly not going to affect your health. A couple pounds here and there. It's not going to,
Right. No. It's just, it's the image. It's that you have that you want for yourself, that you think you're supposed to have. At least those are the things that happen to me. I have a very strong part of myself that has decided I'm supposed to be a certain size. And if I ever am not that size, I'm going to get fired, from my life.
Well, I had an eating disorder when I was a teenager. So yes, and it's part of why I feel like I do. I was just telling the story to somebody the other day that I had a friend who, after having given birth, was like, "Oh, I don't no pictures, don't take any pictures, don't take any pictures, whatever." She put on. And I said that, well, if I did that, then I'd never have any pictures of me with my kid and my, family. And I was like, you can't just, so for myself, and as I say, from having gone through, not incredibly substantial, but going through a eating disorder, that it again, it can't keep you from living your life and from being present in these experiences and wanting to go, yeah, I want a picture of me and my kid at, Sesame Place. And even though I'm in a bathing suit, I don't love the way I look, but I love this experience and I'm happy to remember this experience.
Right.
The picture. So, those are all battles that we all.
Battles of self-care.
Battles of self-care.
Self-judgment. Self-care. I mean, just releasing self-judgment is self-care. Everything, now I'm realizing everything is self-care, but it's important. It's the most important thing. It's mental health is self-care, and that probably is the most important thing you do every single day, beyond a job or a title or a dress size or a pair of jeans. It really is. It's I think the wisdom's starting to kick in my later years. I'm entering crone time.
We've been talking about that. I feel like the energy of the universe, it goes instead of towards your womb and towards that whole your uterus and all of that, it travels upwards, so then it hits your heart and your head as you grow older.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that.
I've been thinking about that. As I release my only child off into the world.
She's not going far. She'll always be with you, and
she'll always be mine.
She might be back real soon.
Yeah, exactly. The way things are going, we never know. Definitely not changing anything in her room anytime soon. Let's put it that way. But yeah. So yes, so there we go. So that's at least I want to say I feel like maybe our first episode discussing self-care. I think we have a lot of other things, because now that you're saying it, everything relates to self-care.
There's so much to it. This is just this huge umbrella that yeah. But it is important, and it goes right back to putting the mask on first. And and I have all sorts of metaphors. Somebody's digging a big hole in the ground and wants you to jump in with them. That's not going to help them. Go grab a rope and set,
exactly. When you jump in to try to help them get out of their hole.
Yeah. When you throw yourself under the bus for other people, you're under the bus. That's wise.
There you go. Such wisdom.
It's a wisdom.
It's a wisdom. That's another wisdom. When you throw yourself under the bus, you're just under the bus.
You're under the bus.
There you go. And with that, we will leave you all today with this episode. But I think that's a great wisdom to go out on. Thank you very much, Liz. I think that's a goodie. And I hope it made other people feel better. I want to think about asking some people what their self-care rituals are. I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody has to go outside and look at a tree, but hey, it's working for me.
They start thinking about that, what they are. And they can be as simple as, flossing, brushing your teeth every day, too. You know what I mean? There's something about that physical self-care that can lead to mental self-care, too, or vice versa. But yeah. All right. Well, so I hope you all go and do your self-care rituals and take good care of yourself and try and find ways to trust instead of hope. To be active in your seeking.
Changing the tense. Hope is future passive, and trust is present.
It's a verb, to trust. Yeah. Active. Excellent. So we actively hope that you all feel better.
I'm trusting you will.
Thanks so much for being with us. Thank you, Liz.
Mwah.
As always, you can find us at letsallfeelbetter.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Let's All Feel Better.
And watch us on our YouTube channel. You guessed it, Let's All Feel Better.